Kevin Hollinrake. Very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us, Minister. So let's touch on this first of all. At each stage of this process, the government in the last couple of months in particular has announced what it's planning to do, announced how far it's going to go. And within a day or two, we've seen various sub-postmasters react to say that it's not enough and it's not fast enough. And I wonder if today's announcement, you think that draws a line under this for the government?
I don't think people will... I don't think we can draw a line under it until every single person has been compensated, exonerated, then compensated. And we can't compensate people until we've overturned their convictions or quashed their convictions. So I think people will judge us at the end of the process, not during the process. And lots of people are saying that exactly what you said, is that things it's not happening quickly enough. But the government has moved exceptionally quickly in terms of overturning these convictions. We're doing something that's completely unprecedented. We're overturning hundreds of convictions en bloc. We'll have done that by July, and we'll be paying compensation to those people by August. So that's, in terms of what we can do in Parliament, that's exceptionally, very swift in terms of legislation and compensation. But it can't happen soon enough for many people, and that's why we're acting so quickly.
In terms of those conversations you said, highly significant to be using legislation to quash decisions made by the judiciary. How many conversations have you had with Alex Chalk, also with the Prime Minister, about this? And where have you decided that the line gets drawn, that this issue warrants that specialist action, whereas other issues do not? Well,
lots of conversations, clearly. The Prime Minister has been incredibly supportive, as the Chancellor and everybody else in government supports what we're doing here. We did look at other options in terms of trying to overturn these convictions, but if you remember, the Court of Appeal ruled first in 2021 that these convictions should be overturned, but to date only 100 of the roughly 983 convictions has been overturned. So it's taking too long. So what we're saying is we can't wait this long to exonerate people and to compensate them. So we're doing something that's never been done before, and we take this step very, very cautiously, very carefully. But of the other options we looked at, everything was going to take months, if not years. So that's why we're moving this quickly and doing it in this way.
And I mean, as you said, it's a big step. Is the trigger to go this far the fundamentals of the extent to which people were wronged and deserve this action? Or is it the attention it's got? You know, I mean, clearly the attention, which was catalysed by an ITV drama, has been profound. Is it a response to public opinion and to serve that, or the fundamentals of the extent to which people...
Well, it's both those things. The scale of the miscarriage of justice is horrendous. And so we knew that from the start. What we expected to happen is, as soon as the court case happened in 2019 and then the courts overturned the convictions of 2021, we expected things would happen much more quickly. But for various reasons about the legal system, they did not. That's not to criticise the courts or the judicial system. These things are complex. So yes, we've been looking for some time how we overturn more convictions more quickly. But no, there's no doubt. We had been looking at those things before the ITV series, which we welcome that series to draw public attention to it. But certainly we are public servants. So the public outcry on this, of course, that gives us the kind of impetus, more impetus in terms of doing actually more quickly, and that's why we know we've got the public on our side and we've got Parliament on our side. I think had we come to Parliament and said we're going to do this prior to the ITV series, when it wasn't on some people's radar in Parliament as well as the wider public, or indeed the media, and said we're going to act in this way, in an unprecedented fashion to overrule the courts effectively, I think it would have been a very difficult thing to do. But I think people understand now the scale of the crisis, so it does mean we can act more quickly.
It's interesting. I don't read what you're saying as making an excuse there at the end of that answer for the delays, but some of the wrong sub-postmasters could read it that way. I mean, could you have ploughed on sooner before public opinion came with you?
I don't honestly think we could have done. We were looking at overturning the convictions en masse prior to the ITV series, and we're doing many other things. For example, we introduced, for people with convictions who have been overturned, we introduced a fixed sum award of £600,000 last autumn, before the series came out, to try and speed up compensation. We've also done that for the other two schemes as well. One thing we're announcing today is people went through the original compensation scheme will get a minimum of £75,000. Before, some people, will get about 2,000 people, got less than that. we're topping up those compensation claims. We're announcing that today. It's great news for thousands of people. So yes, of course we acted based upon the real concern across Parliament that was raised by the ITV series, but we were acting before that in the best way we could.
We'll be talking to David Enright, a solicitor for many of the sub-postmasters, a little bit later, so we'll get his response. Wanted to move you on to the topic about Frank Hester's comments that, of course, dominated things yesterday. Should the Conservative Party return the money he donated?
I don't think that's the right thing to do. I don't think it's what we need to do. I think his comments were clearly racist and wrong, and there's no question about that. You don't judge somebody's character based upon their skin colour. He's apologised for that. I don't think that means Frank Hester is necessarily a racist. I don't know Frank Hester, to be honest, but the fact he's come out and apologised, we should welcome that. I think he's trying to apologise personally to Diane Abbott over these comments, and that's the right thing to do, but I don't think that means we should judge his character purely based on something that was said in a private conversation that he's apologised for.
I mean, it's interesting you say so clearly that the comments were clearly racist. I had a conversation with Graham Stewart, one of your colleagues, yesterday, and clearly it took till the Prime Minister till late yesterday afternoon to say the same. So what happened in the first 24 hours such that your colleagues, your boss, couldn't say that?
I can't speak for the Prime Minister because I haven't spoken to him about it. I've spoken to Graham about it. I mean, the situation was moving pretty quickly yesterday, but I think as I said before, I don't think it's right to judge somebody's character by their skin colour. That's effectively what his comments what his comments said. So it was clearly wrong thing to say. He's apologised for it. I can't speak for my colleagues, but I think in terms of those comments, clearly they were racist. He's right to apologise. The Prime Minister's called them racist too. But I think the key thing now is Mr Hester himself a racist. I don't believe so from what I know. I say I don't know him, but I think on the context of what we know, in the situation that we know right now, we should try and move on from this now, and I think that's the right thing to do.
I guess the only sort of step back on all of this is to say, you know, you've got £10 million, or so we're said to believe, either way, a significant number of money from him. Is the party content to, as we approach an election and people are going to judge the party, to spend that money to try and further itself? Yes, it's an important amount of money and it will help you further yourself, but it comes with a lot of baggage from somebody who has made racist comments, whether he's apologised and stuff. The party is happy to spend the money. Is that the takeaway?
I think we should judge it in the whole context. So we've got the most diverse cabinet in history. We've got the first British Asian Prime Minister in this country. We're not a racist party.
And I'm certainly not suggesting that, but I don't think it's equally legitimate to excuse comments because you have a diverse cabinet. I'm sure you agree with that. I
do. I'm not excusing it at all. These comments are wrong. Racist has apologised. That's not excusing his comments.
No, I agree. But I'm asking the question, is the party content to spend his money?
Well, on the basis he's not a racist and has apologised for what he said, yes.
OK. Well, listen, that's very clear. The final question I wanted to get to has been all sorts of little bits of reporting that Boris Johnson might come back to help campaign, whether he seeks a seat himself or not in the next election. Does Rishi Sunak need his help on the campaign trail, particularly in certain red wall seats?
We need everybody's help. I mean, this is a hugely important election. We absolutely think we're the right people to run this country. We think Labour taking over from us would be absolutely the worst thing for this country. If you look at what they're planning to do in terms of how they'll run the economy, in terms of things like I'm the business minister as well as postal affairs minister. I'm very, very concerned for millions of businesses around this country that will suddenly have a completely different employment framework where people will get employment rights from day one, which means employers will have to go through a 4-stage process and an employment tribunal to actually decide somebody's not the right person for their organisation from day one. There are so many things that Labour would introduce into our framework that would be disastrous for our economy. So it's a very important election. We need every single Conservative to get out on the streets, knock on doors and show people we're the right party to run this country.
Kevin Hollinrake, really interesting conversation this morning. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.